Hi, everybody, and welcome to a very special episode of the Rad Life. I have the privilege. Look at this. I'm like the only guy on the screen. I'm surrounded by all these ladies. Um, Stephanie Odos, that I'm not sure where on the screen she is, but she's there somewhere. Um, and I had a conversation about almost 2 months ago now, Stephanie, I think it was, right? About this thing that she thought about doing, sewing masks for deserving nonprofits. And I don't even, do you even remember what was the first effort that you did, Stephanie?
The first effort we did was a nursing home. We started with healthcare primarily, and we've kind of worked it's kind of it's a priority list. So as we kind of check off one priority, we go to the next thing. And that's how we've kind of worked our list and filled our need in our community.
So the point of this particular episode of the Red Life is to actually give an opportunity. Stephanie, when we started, please give a little background about the group and how it came together. It's kind of amazing. It's Facebook based. And you and I had a conversation about whether to formalize it or not to formalize it. It's such a grassroots effort that it's a wonderful example of what people can do when they really get together and work towards a common goal. And especially in as divisive as things are these days, we need more examples like this. So thank you everybody for taking time to be with us today. And why don't you give people background about the group, Stephanie, please?
Sure. Well, thanks for having us on, Rod. And I just want to appreciate you for coming up with this idea of having our sewers on. And those are the people you see on the screen right now. These are people that sew the masks, and they all have a great story. They're all really integral parts, important parts of Healthcare Mask Collaborative. And they all have a different story that we're going to talk about today. But since I talked to you last, we've grown. So we have over 220 registered sewers on our Facebook site. I think when I talked to you last, I was guessing. I was so busy, I hadn't had the opportunity to capture that data, and I was guessing at like 40 or 50. But
you did. Now, I think you told me, yeah, maybe 50. And so tell me again, how many people right now?
So we register our sewers, and we have over 220 registered sewers right now.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing.
And we've got over 1,100 Facebook followers, and these are just supporters. They could be recipients of our masks or just community members that are kind of watching us and supporting us. So we've grown quite a bit, and we've streamlined our effort, and we've kind of tried to change with the times, just like everybody has had to during this pandemic. And I think I alluded to before, we started with healthcare. And we moved to kind of first responders and military. And then after that, what we're focusing on, we still do healthcare, of course, and I always get those orders out first, but we're doing nonprofits. Nonprofits have been hit budgetarily because they're not able to have their fundraisers. So in any way that we can help, and what I'm finding out really is that a lot of the nonprofits that have come to us are healthcare organizations or mental health organizations or people that work with children. And so it's just been a wonderful journey to be able to serve so many people in our community. So that's kind of where we are now. By the end of this week, we will have delivered over 35,000 masks.
Wow.
I think when I talked to you before, we were like, oh, it's like 100 a day. And now it's more like almost 5,000 a week. It's crazy.
I watch your postings, and yes, you're right. It was about 50 sewers, and it was about 100 masks a day, and I still was like, oh my gosh, that's like amazing. And now it's like I watch these numbers go up and up and up, and everybody's like, oh, I just dropped off 300. Now I just dropped up whatever. It's fascinating. So it's got to be like, just from your perspective, just a logistical exercise that's massive, right? I mean, you've got all these people, the most streamlined operation still requires sort of management. How many hours are you dedicating to this?
Well, I work like a full-time job, basically. I didn't have weekends off until really, I think Mother's Day weekend was the first weekend I really had off. But I decided that was probably something I should continue with because I would burn out. But I have, in addition to all the sewers that I have supporting the organization, I have almost 10 women of admins and advisors.
Wow.
That we meet with, we talk with on the phone, we do our Zoom meetings, and everybody has input and a say in kind of what's going on, and we just kind of figure it out together. I run the operations, so I get all the masks out, I qualify the recipients, make sure that this is something that they need, see if they've got anything from other sources, because I like to protect, the sewers. It takes a long time to make a mask, and I want to make sure that the masks are going to get used well. They're going to actually get used, and so I kind of see that as a gatekeeper job.
Well, I think I mentioned to you when because I think you were either like the first or maybe third person I interviewed, and the show's been going on, the Raad Life's been going on for about 5 years, but we used to do it once a week, and then I basically decided to do it almost daily, and I think I needed a break about a week and a half ago, and I started not doing them as daily, but I had enough back, and recorded that I basically dropped them. The thing. And I want to hear, but I'm pretty sure that, in a time of uncertainty like we're dealing with, like a sense of lack of control, like not having so much that you can control in your life, being subject to, to be honest, one day I'm being told one thing, the next day I'm being told something else. I don't know what to believe. I don't know whether the information is trustworthy. Who do I look to give me some guidance and leadership? And it's been kind of lacking. So that need for some sort of purpose, some sort of focus, something I can feel like I have control over, and if it's actually benefiting somebody else, then that's an added reward. Has it been the same for you guys in doing this and taking this on? I'm seeing a lot of heads shaking, but yeah, thumbs up. Yeah, okay, I see it. It really is, I think, important to bring that into perspective, because right now everywhere I look, it's mask. I told you the other day I was on the corner of the street, and not me, but I was driving, and there was somebody at the corner of the street, and they had like a bag of oranges, a bucket of flowers, and a fabric mask in hand, and one on, and gloves, and they're selling masks basically. And so it's all over, but this is so much more than masks. Right? This is so much more than masks, really.
Well, and I can speak to, and I would love to introduce some of these folks.
Please, yes.
But I do want to speak to that a little bit, because what we found is that masks in large quantities, hundreds and thousands, are hard to find, or at least very long wait times. So we can get those out to people who need them, like almost, if you get on our queue, we can get them to you pretty quickly. So that's, I think, us and other people who are sewing in Orange County are able to do. We're able to help our
What you brought it up, so I'm going to ask. Like, what is the turnaround when somebody gets on your queue?
Well, it's usually 24 to 48 hours, but now it's maybe like a week. We're actually pretty busy right now. When we opened it up to nonprofits, we got tons of orders. Orange County Social Services is asking for 30,000. They're currently trying to work a deal with another nonprofit who's going to help them. But we need to find out, when will they get them? And so we, for example, provided them 400 masks today to at least bridge that gap until they can get a bigger order. And so we can act quicker than a large company can.
And how do you qualify who gets on your list?
Well, like I said, we do it as a priority. So if a healthcare facility comes up, or a nursing home, I call them first. I talk to them first. We want to make sure when we're handing out to homeless organizations that homeless folks have the opportunity to wash the mask, because we don't want to make this, we don't want this to spread among the homeless communities. And so we want to make sure they can wash their mask. And so we help with masks for the housed homeless typically. And there are a ton of housed homeless. You would not believe it, but we have given hundreds, if not 1,000, to housed homeless. And so, in fact, we're working on, that's our big order and our push today.
Well, a lot of hotels actually right now are housing homeless too. Like, there's been a shift in how the homeless are being housed too. So and with the reopening happening right now, kind of a push to basically normalize things. I would guess you're going to get even busier. I mean, if I had to predict, I think you're going to get even busier. We're in the sort of the, let's call it middle at best, of phase two. I think when things get a little bit, more, and you're right, nonprofits were hit even before. I mean, I'm on a board of a couple of them. We were hit before with a change in the tax laws, and that basically killed a lot of incentives for nonprofits to basically receive money from people. And so, and then the funding from the state also changed. It's not surprising that nonprofits would need the assistance, and the numbers you just gave me. I mean, you're throwing around numbers like 30,000, like it's 30,000 masks. I mean, that's a lot of
It's a
volume.
lot. It's a lot. But you know who can talk a little bit about that? One of our sewers here, Denise McHugh Payne. She not only does she sews, but she actually calls nursing homes for us. She's her and another volunteer call the nursing home. So I don't know if she may want to speak to kind of her experiences, what her experiences are with calling those nursing homes, or even just what she's doing with her sewing.
Right.
Denise, if you want to unmute.
Hi, Denise.
Hi, how are you?
Hi.
Good.
Well, it's kind of exciting calling the nursing homes, because once you get to the right person, they're really thrilled that we are offering free masks to their residents and their employees if they need them, but mostly it's the residents. And they're saying, I've called a few where they've said, oh, we've got some families that have made them for us, so we don't need it. We'd rather you go and find people that actually need them to be made. So it's just really nice. And in the emails, I always add, thank you for allowing us to be of service to you, because I feel like it is kind of an honor to be able to do this for people.
Right.
For me, it's made me feel like, through this whole shut-in kind of thing, it's just given me something to do, and I feel like I'm helping other people. So I've really enjoyed it. And I do enjoy, as Stephanie had asked me about another job, and I'm like, nah, I don't do that well. But phone calling, oh yeah, that's right up my alley. So
Right, and
I was really glad.
Yeah, and everybody's got their strengths and skills, and so when you have an organizational structure, be it grassroots or otherwise, of this magnitude and size that you guys are all involved in, yes, there's going to be needs for calls. There's going to be needs for people to, I'm sure, pick up or deliver. There's going to be, sourcing of materials. I can only imagine how much material sourcing is involved in this, right? And
Yeah.
Getting the stuff to where it needs to go and in a timely manner so that you can fulfill those orders. Yeah, I mean, anybody who's done even a minuscule amount of this knows what's involved, let alone at the scale that you guys are operating. What have you guys found that the camaraderie of this has also helped with the shut-in and the sort of sheltering in place, like being, you're not really alone. Yes, it's virtual versus in real, but you have sort of a support system at a time when, everybody basically had no other choice but to shelter. I mean, I remind everybody always that it's by choice. We're sheltering by choice. Nobody's at the corner of the street with a machine gun saying you can't come out of your house. We're doing this on purpose, but there is a price that we pay for doing this, right? So has it been a good kind of support system as well, Denise?
I think so. I've talked to different people just on Facebook. Some of us comment constantly on the different masks, and actually to see some of the, when people are turning in their masks, they make these wonderful little, I was kind of embarrassed because I just lined mine up, and some people are making these cute little wreaths and all these fancy things. And I'm thinking, oh, I got to get creative. I've got to get like these other ladies. So I think that we, and when you comment, then the comments go back and forth. I think it's been really nice. And we've met, even though it's only on Facebook, we've met a lot of nice people. And, to find, when I first started, I think it was in probably the first couple of weeks. And I happened to see something about masks being made, and I jumped right on it. Oh, I want to help. So I think it's just been, it's been really good for me, really good. And of course, your friends find out you're making masks, and then they start calling. So it's been really nice.
Yeah, Denise brings up a good point, and then I would love to hear from Ann Trin, because she does a lot of those fun pictures with her masks. But Denise brings up a good point that even though our numbers like over 30,000. We're going to be over 35,000 soon. All of these sewers sew for their friends and family as well. So this group is a collective. Those are numbers that I distribute out, that they donate to us and I distribute out. But they have sewed thousands more. So I don't know if Anne wants to speak a little bit, because she does some really creative things with her masks when she takes pictures of them. Maybe you could talk about that, Anne.
Yeah, I just want to play with all the decoration and something. And for some day when I got for 200 masks for myself, and I said I want to donate 200 at a time. But before I send it out, I want to do something fun. And it takes me so many hours just to play around with the picture. But then I made it and sent it to you, and I was so happy that you liked that.
Oh, you did the picture. What picture did you do, Anne? What, the HMC, right?
The HMC?
Yes, the HMC one.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're fun. They're actually fun, because I think when I had you on, we had like, the pictures were more like, here's what we're doing. Here's like mass groupings of stuff. But yeah, I mean, like anything else, if you're gonna spend time at it, and if you're enjoying what you're doing, yes, you're gonna basically let your creativity out. By show of hands, if you don't mind, ladies, how many of you I wouldn't say have ever sewn, because even I have sewn, but how many of you have actually sewn regularly? Like that this was just, okay, so not everybody, right? I mean,
not me.
Like maybe half.
Not me.
So there was a little bit of a learning curve, right? I mean, you guys had to kind of like, okay. And are you guys all sewing like this from the same pattern? Is there a consistency? Is it, what's the direction? Or is it pretty much what you want to do? And then as you do more of them, you maybe adjust and start adding different things to it. Okay. Yeah, and a lot of shaking hands. If anybody wants to expand on that, please just feel free. Just unmute your mics and share a little bit more.
I think there are different patterns being used. Some people are using a pleated pattern. Some are using another pattern where it has several different sizes. I forget what that pattern was called. I myself do the pleating pattern because I like it and it's easy. And some people feel the other one's easier. So I think it just depends on what you like.
Right, and I mean, and if you're gonna spend that, you're spending a lot of time. I want to go around in a minute and just get a sense of how much time you individually are dedicating to this. Louise, you had your hand up. You had something to say?
Well, when I started, I wasn't part of the collaborative. I decided to do this. I was listening to a town hall with Mike Levin and thought, well, I'll do this. So I started on my own, and I found my way to Stephanie through one of her board members, which is Valerie Rhodes. So that's how I ended up there. But the person I got the first pattern from, she said, don't get bogged down in patterns. Everybody's going to send you a different pattern. None are perfect, all are good, and move it on. I said, no, these people won't do that. So I first launched through our DEMS Club, who you're familiar with.
Yes.
And I thought, oh, this won't happen. Well, I have one of the people who had responded that she wanted to help, who has sent me 7 patterns. I have said, wow, they look great. Whichever you feel comfortable with, jump on board. She's made none. So, so when you say, you know, is there a specific pattern? Well, we do the pleat pattern too, which I've honed down and down and down to get rid of the placards on the side. I do it production where I lay out my ironing board, pin it all to the ironing board, steam the heck out of it, let it cool down, pull the pins out, go directly to the sewing machine with no pins, and I do it really fast.
Yeah, you've got an assembly line going.
Right, and then I made patterns for ages 2 to 4, 4 to 7, 7 to 10, and 10 to 15.
And are they really that much like difference? I mean, Stephanie, I don't know if it's appropriate, but you know, we're using only 2 pattern sizes for the for tailor-made face mask. I set up a little company because I was motivated by what Stephanie was doing, and I said okay, and I tapped into some people that were not working. So the point was to try to get them to have something like, basically it's custom, they're tailors that make custom shirts. and there's no business for them. So we try to basically find a way to make them have some money that comes in. But we are only using 2 sizes. Oh, we're going to do a little show and tell. I see. Okay.
Yeah,
We got some
see,
visual aids going on here now.
and when I went to Chalk, they told me that they're trying to put a mask on any child 18 months and older if they went in the building.
Wow.
You can't. Yeah.
And the same thing at Ronald McDonald House, of course, that's housing the same group of people.
Right. So there's actually definitely sizing. What about, yeah, go ahead, Diane.
Yeah, I have found that one of the reasons I will use different patterns is because, frankly, it keeps it interesting.
Right.
And I will, like, if I know I'm doing for healthcare, I will do the Olsen with a filter. It depends on where I'm doing it, whether I'll put a filter in it or I'll put a wire in it,
Right,
because
that
the
makes
filters
sense.
take longer.
Right.
They really do. And so I do it just for variety so I can keep on doing it. I've tried assembly line. I've tried one at a time. I do varieties of activities to keep myself going.
How much time do you spend? I mean, I really want to,
How much time?
yeah, how much time do you spend a week
Oh
on
my
this?
goodness. I would say on the average, on and off 8 hours a day at least.
Wow.
But
Is
not
that-
every day. There will be some days I don't do it, but
Right.
and when I'm doing it for 8 hours a day, accompanied by binging TV. On
Well,
my
I would
favorite-
think those two go hand in hand, right? I
Yeah,
mean, you need
it really
noise.
does. And so yeah, I do it that way.
So by nod of heads, is that pretty average for all you guys? Like, I mean, you spending like 7 to 10 hours a day, or like when you are sewing, or is it less? Pat, you're
No, that for me, because I have to work full time, still working full time right now.
wow. Okay.
I saw in the evening when I'm done with everything at home. For the weekend, I can spend more time. So I don't know. Whenever I find free time, I do it.
Anybody else? I see some on
Yeah,
my
same.
yeah.
Same with us, I work with my mom and my aunt, so some of it has to do with cutting and getting prepared for it. So
Yeah.
we've kind of divided the work as far as like I do most of the cutting and having things ready, or go back and like sew. And we're actually also sewing scrub hats for the healthcare providers. So we kind of alternate between scrub hats and that mask. But I would say in average is probably about 2 to 3 hours a day. As Anne mentioned, on the weekends is more, or my mom will pick a couple of days in the month. With people who have a little bit of disabilities, they have to make sure that they're being safe with their body too. So they're
Right.
not my mom has severe rheumatoid arthritis,
Oh.
but this is really important to her. And so as soon as she says, oh, my shoulder or something, I'm like, stop. She's like, no, maybe just 2 more and then I'll stop, so it's a little bit of a self-care required as well.
No, I think it's great when you're giving to yourself, but in the course of doing that, you're also giving to others, or vice versa, giving to others, but you're also, you're giving to yourself. Stephanie, I want to clarify, because we're talking about, healthcare organization, we're talking about hospitals, we're talking about, and it's too small what's behind me for people to see with this many people on the screen, but maybe you can go through some of the lists of the people that have been recipients. The thing that strikes me as being really like unbelievable in a country like the United States is that we actually have to provide this much support for medical practitioners, first responders, people that are helping others, like in the case of nonprofits, because there just is not the supply or the timing. And I had a couple of people actually reach out to me to try to connect them with people on the N95 mask, like to purchase. And I could not believe the numbers and the prices that they were listing to me. I mean, it was between $2 and $7 a mask, depending on quality, and minimum orders were like 1 million masks with 50% deposit. I mean, it's just like unbelievable that it became like almost like a black market product What is going on? Is it just the supply is so little that we have to provide the reusable cloth masks?
The competition was so intense that even large government organizations who could order large quantities could not get their masks.
Oh, some of it. I've heard some stories where some of it was actually just like fraudulent, like the money that exchanged hands, and they were never going to see that money or the mask ever.
You know, I can't speak to that. I just know firsthand from when I talk to people in the military, in healthcare, that says, you know, healthcare and hospitals were worried about shortages, and so they were hoarding and they were rationing their disposables, and they were using ours to extend the life of the disposable, so they would put it over the disposable.
Oh, interesting.
Whether or not they actually had enough, I don't know that we will ever know, but they did not know what was in front of them, so they were being careful. And then military, we provided, actually Row Furniture in North Carolina provided over 1,000 masks to March Air Force Base. They couldn't get masks, and I can't remember when it was weeks ago, when the military mandated that on all bases you must wear a mask. So they mandated that, but unfortunately they weren't able to supply their, the military members with masks. It goes on. There just wasn't, the supply chain just wasn't loose enough or available enough for people. And the cool thing about these sewing groups is that we were able to produce it quick and fast and get it out in the community. And I just want to point to that because we've partnered with other large sewing groups. Like Louise represents the sewers of South Orange County. And so she has her own sewing group that existed before COVID, and other like quilting groups have given, when we've done big drives towards certain things that people really care about. We just gave like over 1,300 masks to the Navajo Nation. You've heard the Navajo Nation's been starved for masks. So those sewing groups like Louise's, RSM mask makers from the front lines, they will literally just dump hundreds of masks at our porches. So people, the way that our communities come together, it's been amazing. And I want to highlight Jean Mansfield because she is here today and she sews an incredible amount. She's able to she has a system down where she produces so many masks. And actually, Jean made this mask for me. She doesn't just make a mask, but she even does some nice designs on them. So I got that from the Theodore Roosevelt thing. So I appreciate that from Jean. But Jean just did a really cool special project. We were approached by the Boys and Girls Club. And maybe she wants to talk about this.
Yeah, Jean, let's hear from you.
Hey, Jean, you want to talk about that project?
Well, Stephanie had contacted me and just asked me if I would be willing to make some masks for the Boys and Girls Club to sell, for them to make a little extra or make, some money to do for their projects, since raising money is very difficult for all the nonprofits. Well, my heart is with a nonprofit, a different nonprofit, but nonetheless, I said, sure, I have no problem with it. So it's been fun to make them for just the kids, which is also where my heart is. And a little bit of love goes into each one, and I try and make some, at least some of them special. It gives me a little extra oomph to keep going and getting my mind thinking about, oh, I could do this on these, or just to make them a little more special. So it was quite an honor for me to do that for them. And it gives me purpose every day when I get up. It's like, oh, I have this many masks to make today. And a couple of days I didn't have masks on order. And I really started to get depressed because I had nothing to do. So Stephanie, keep them coming.
Jean will, Facebook Messenger me and say, "What's my next assignment? What's my next assignment?" So
you're slacking, Stephanie. You need to
exactly. I have to stay on it, and she's not the only one, but she's very special because she can make a lot of masks really fast, and she's always ready and willing. And this program for the Boys and Girls Club of Capo Valley was for a teen program for these teenagers to be able to go on a trip that they, you know, a leadership trip. And actually, one of the members of that group became the Teen of the Year through Boys and Girls Club for the state of California. And that happened while Jean was sewing the mask. So it's, you know, we like to think, you know, the admins and I know we talk about the magic of our group. And we think we have something magical here. And
you do. You absolutely do. I don't think anybody can deny that you have something magical here. And it's going to be very interesting. I've said this to you before, you know, at some point we are going to be, maybe not over this, it'll probably be a couple of years before we no longer have to worry about COVID per se, but it's going to wane a little bit. It's going to change, right? And it's going to be really interesting to see how this grassroots effort basically finds its next worthy cause to basically support, because I think that's going to happen. I think you guys are having too much fun with one another to stop doing it. You know, and I do like that individuality, Jean, like you were saying, you know, like, oh, I'm going to put a little bit of different in this, a little bit different in that, you know, and, you know, I'm smiling because when you were talking about, you know, military bases requiring masks and you guys are providing masks, I'm sure they're not all camo and green. So I wonder, you know, that's like, it's really, I wonder if we can get a picture where everybody is in their fatigues, but then the only thing that's off regulation is actually their face mask, right? That's a picture I'd like to see, you know, where they're smiling because yes, I get to wear something other than my camos now. So go ahead and read that list that's on that graphic if you don't mind, because there's some really, like, I was astounded that not so much by your effort, but who was really needing them. Like some of these names I would have never thought.
Okay, you have to help me a little bit because I don't have it in front of me, but I know Latino Health Access is on there, Orange Wood Foundation.
There's a couple of hospitals on there. I think Pendleton, isn't there a hospital in Pendleton that you
There's
guys
a hospital in Pendleton. They needed masks so bad. We have given them over 2,000 masks.
And the VA?
Now the VA we gave 2,600 to. We received a lovely thank you note from San Diego. And you know, we've given
fire
to
department.
Who was that?
Didn't we do something with the fire department as well?
We did. We didn't do fire. We have done police. We've done Orange County Sheriff.
The sheriff. That's what I was thinking of.
Yeah, we've done Lake Forest Police Department. But you know what? I don't want to skip subjects, but I want to make sure we get to everybody. So,
yeah. Well, here I found the list, so I'm just going to read this real quick.
Okay, good.
Belmont Village Senior Living. I mean, Belmont Village is a large, you know, senior care, senior housing company out of Texas. University of Virginia Medical Center. I mean, you're not limited to, you know, Orange County. Katrina's Club, our good friend Chef Bruno, and his, you know, the effort that he does through his nonprofit that was inspired by his mom, where he's been on my show a couple of years ago, and a CNN hero, I think, too.
Yes.
You know, Laguna Beach Orthopedic Rehabilitation, San Clemente Villas by the Sea, just down the street from me. I mean, you know, Aileen, Priority Center, Radiant Health Centers, Orange Wood Foundation, you know, Pacific Marine Mammal Center. That's a picture I want to see too. Can we put them on a seal or something? I mean, that would be a good one. You know, Korean American Special Education Center, again, you know, further up the street here, CASA Youth Shelter. These are organizations that we shouldn't necessarily need to support. Like, you know, unfortunately, that's the reality of the world that we live in. We actually do. So thanks again for somebody, you know, like you guys that would step up to the plate and, you know, rise to the occasion, because that's really what this is. I mean, and you did it so fast. I mean, what were we, like week 2 in this thing when you guys basically started?
We were, I think, week 1, March 20th.
Oh, I'm sorry, I got it wrong.
After 7 or 10, yeah, it was March 20th. But you know what, I want to highlight 3 people right now, and the way that we work and the way we're able to streamline so well is that we have at least 3 of our 4 porches or distribution centers here on our call today. And that is Pat Gordon. She's in Costa Mesa. And so, and Olivia Winter is in San Clemente. And Mila Finley, her her mother and her daughter, Gracie, are all sewing or helping out with sewing. And those distribution points are critical because Orange County, as you know, is huge. And it's a place where sewers can pick up materials, pick up fabric, they can pick up the nose pieces, they can pick up elastic, and it's where healthcare or any mask recipient can come pick up the mask. So I don't know if Pat want to talk about kind of her experiences. I know she got a really cool gift recently from the Korean American Special Education Center. I thought that was the coolest. Sometimes they get little gifts from some of these groups. And I don't know if Pat, you want to talk about that.
The girls that came for that, I usually kind of try to watch when someone's coming for masks, because I want to make sure that nobody else takes the masks. And those two girls were so cute. They were out there taking pictures with the masks on the front porch. And like Stephanie said, they brought us a gift. And I was in awe of that. I couldn't believe they, went to the trouble to bring us a gift. But they're so appreciative, I mean, it almost felt like they thought it was pretty awesome that somebody cared enough about them to give them masks, and to us, it's no big deal. We're keeping busy, we're keeping out of trouble, we're keeping those sewing machines going sometimes, watching TV while we're doing it, but nevertheless, we still we're able to push masks through and provide them out there. And it doesn't seem like a big deal from us, but it seems to seem like a big deal to the people that are receiving them. And that's pretty cool.
It's never the price of the gift, right? It's where the heart that it comes from. And it's genuinely caring for somebody enough to put your time into something for them. And it's like the old adage, like I could send an email to people and it's not the same as a handwritten note. A disposable mask is not the same as somebody spending time to actually fashion something for you. And the size of it and what it is and what the fabric is, it doesn't really matter. It's just it's an expression of gratitude that is fitting, because you guys are caring enough to basically do this. Every single one of those masks is being used by somebody. And then not once, but over and over. And, whether it is real, whether it's, I don't want to get into even that, but whether it's real, whether it's psychological, whether it's, it provides them a sense of safety, whether it gives them a sense of ability to be mobile and go to that grocery store and, all this stuff. Those are really meaningful things, especially in a time of crisis of this nature. I mean, it's the small stuff like that. Who's got the quote? I think, Louise, it's time for the quote. Where's the quote? Where's the quote, Louise? It's on a button. I know you got a button with it.
Okay. Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has.
Margaret Mead had it right from the very beginning. It's absolutely right. There it is on a button too. No, that's really what it is. And you're giving of yourselves. I mean, we always talk about, in nonprofits, it's great to get the grants, it's great to get the donations. But we always have a different appreciation for people who volunteer. They actually put themselves out there. And you guys are doing this on a daily basis, and it's an amazing, inspiring thing for a lot of people. I mean, I don't even think you realize how many people you guys have inspired that are not sewing necessarily, but they're taking the spirit of what's behind what you guys are doing and putting it in their own fashion and making, leaving it, not just leaving something better than they found it, but leaving somebody better than they found them. And I remember coming across that on, I'll just share this. I don't think I shared it when I had Stephanie on, but one of the most powerful things I ever saw, it was on Instagram, and it was positive. So, it's a good thing about it on Instagram. But this was a young gentleman who happened to live down the corridor from an older lady that was in her 80s. And he lived alone, she lived alone. And at some point, he actually suggested that they become roommates. And so on his Instagram, and I'll have to find it and send it to Stephanie, on his Instagram, and she has since passed, but on his Instagram, they're watching movies and eating popcorn and drinking champagne and doing all this stuff. I think we may have lost Jean, I think. Oh, maybe she'll jump back on. Oh, her camera just went off. Okay. So maybe she'll join us in a minute. But she, it was such a giving thing. And the only, like how on Instagram is very limited, how much room you can write anything, right, at the top. Well, he actually wrote, leave someone better than you found them. Now, if you think about it, we hear a lot about leave something better than you found it, but I thought that by personalizing it the way he did, it had so much more meaning. And so you guys are leaving people better than you found them every day. So when I said, you know, come meet the heroes of the collaborative, I was not just being flippant. You guys are really all heroes in what you do. So what is next, Stephanie? What is next, ladies?
Well, how about we talk to some of these mother-daughter duos that we have?
Yes, I would love that. They're sitting very quietly, you know.
You know, this has been a really bonding experience. They're gonna hopefully tell you a little bit about that. We had one mother-daughter duo that was more like the daughter was more my age or younger, and of course we've got Sudi and her mom too. And the older generation, the elderly mother, grandmother, mother, is, so it's multi-generational, and it's really, I think, bringing people together. So I don't know if the Finleys or the Chettys or
yeah, who wants to take this? I'd love to hear about that dynamic.
Yeah, we're a multi-generational home with helping. My mom does all of our fabric cutting for us. We have an assembly line going.
She mostly does the sewing. I will sew here and there, but I mostly flip the masks right side out.
Yeah. Or she'll do the sewing to get the elastic in, and then I'll be the one to get the pleats in. And so we work together doing it. And we volunteer a lot before this all happened, and so we watched a lot of things get canceled. And things we had planned on doing, and to help other people get canceled more and more. And so this was a chance to keep doing what we usually do, just in a different way.
Yeah.
So it has become a daily occurrence to hear this one yelling, "Gosh darn it, it happened again," as if her bobbin ran out mid sewing.
Yeah, which is silly because I can see my bobbin. I have a clear thing for it, and it's a daily occurrence now. I don't pay attention to it, but it's been really great. And we weren't huge sewers. We both have a sewing machine, but I more sewed to make Halloween costumes for her,
and I would sew to make like cat toys.
Yeah, and so it wasn't something we did a lot of, but then we had we got started. I'm not even sure how we ended up in the group, but we love it. We started out of the group we got a request from my mom's phlebotomist at Kaiser Mission Viejo Urgent Care. The lab needed them, and she was just requesting like, hey, could I have like 2? And we sent 50. And then they go, do you happen to have more? And we did another 50, and they sent us cookies. And I think that hit us.
Yeah.
It hit that we're helping more than we had realized, because I was just like, yeah, whatever, sure, we'll make a mask. And so that's kind of stuck with us. So every mask we send out, we think back to like that initial, like how we helped others. And I know so many people in our group, we have some that, you know, since I'm a drop-off point, I'll get bags outside that have like 100 or 150 masks. And then I get other ones that someone will message me and say, I just dropped off 8 masks. I'm sorry, I sew really slow. And I'm like, no, like I'll bag up stuff to fill orders. And I've had it where every single mask that has been dropped off, I've needed to put into the bag. So know that those 8 help. So it doesn't matter if you're sewing 2 a day or 100 a day. Like it's so great to see, you know, how much every single mask helps and everyone makes a difference.
So let me ask you this, because you said that you shared that you guys have done stuff before together, like it's like volunteering or taking on things together as part of your family dynamic. How do you equate this? Does this have a different layer to it? Has this been a different experience? I mean, because maybe it's in your home versus elsewhere. How would you, I mean, you guys are building, all of you, you're building memories with one another. You're building memories within your households. I mean, you really, this is not just sewing. These are memories that you guys will have multi-generationally for as long as you're around. Can you share that? Is this different? Is it the same?
I know personally, I think everyone's gonna feel like it's different because it is at home. We have to, the masks are needed, and it's something that no one, at least I don't think anyone here has really had to experience before. So of course it's gonna feel different, but I think it'll just bring us all closer together as a community, as a family, as individual people.
And then I guess that's what I was fishing for, is that there's also a benefit here because it actually is enriching relationships at the same time, and it's working towards a common goal. And I mean, I think it's one thing when you basically get dressed, get in a car, and go somewhere else to basically either man a feeding line at Thanksgiving or whatever. But when you actually bring it into your own home, I think it gets a different level of personal commitment. And so I appreciate that very much. Okay, I want to hear from the other mom and daughter. Come on.
I would add to that, how the experience is different is that it's sustained giving. My daughter Isabel and I have done a lot of volunteer work. We do it as a family with our church, but a lifetime of Girl Scouts. And also another nonprofit that's close to our hearts too, that focuses on teen wellness. And similar to others' experiences, a lot of times you do, show up at an event, and it's sort of a one and done. And this is so different because it's been ongoing for like 6 or 7 weeks now.
Right.
And I know my husband's dying to ask me this question, but he won't because he believes in what we do. But he has seen my workspace just look the same for 7 weeks of fabric and just all sorts of stuff going on. And he's been a great supporter of it. But I think that's probably the biggest difference, is it's been part of our lives for a lengthy amount of time.
Well, you're bringing that effort, like you said, into your home. It's not like you're going out to a church function or volunteering at a homeless shelter or feeding the homeless during maybe it's Thanksgiving or Christmas. This is literally into your own home, and it affects every from the minute you wake up to the minute you go to sleep. This is occupying enough hours that everybody around you, they're either part of it, and if they're not part of it, they're impacted by it. So yeah, I think it's phenomenal, because you can't do this without the support system within your own household either. And so, hey, you know what? I always thought that a clean desk is a sign of a sick mind. So a messy desk must be the opposite, right? So if you have fabrics all over the place, that's totally fine with me. What do you got, Olivia? You're just sitting over there. You're just not saying anything. What do you got to have something to add to this?
Well, you guys covered it all so well. But I would say, I'd like to reiterate that the volunteers is the magic of this organization. We have some unbelievable super sewers right in front of you. But there are, like Mila said, is you get those ones that, like, somebody comes in and drops off literally 5 and says, oh, I'm so sorry, my hands hurt this week. And it's like, oh my gosh, thank you so much, those 5. Yeah. Each one of those are going to 5 people that are going to be so grateful that you took the time to make that for them. So, and then not only that, we have 220 sewers, but we have over 1,000 members. Mm-hmm. So we have people that are supporting us, either through, some people are donating fabric, and that's just as important as sewing. We have people that are cutting fabric for sewers, because I have a woman who drops masks off at my place, and she has arthritis. Mm-hmm. So she has somebody cut her fabric for her who's not a sewer and drops it off. And so they together kind of make a mask. So it's just really cool. I just wanted to reiterate that it takes all different kinds of volunteers to make something like this go and be as successful as it's been. And so I just want to make sure.
I think, no, you raise a very, very important point, because especially with as much statistics that have been flying around on this and COVID and, sorry to say it, but the reality of death rates and people that are infected and so forth, let's take the numbers that are just behind me, which, Stephanie, thank you. That graphic is already outdated from what you told me, right? So the numbers don't even really measure what you guys are currently at. But 31,515 is on the top of that graphic. Those are not 31,515 numbers. That's 31,515 people. Okay, that's almost, just to put it in comparison, in sort of a relative way, that's half the population of the city of San Clemente. Okay, I mean, this is not, these are human beings that are benefiting, and it's reusable, so they're benefiting over and over and over. You know, I mean, I personally have a problem with the disposable masks, because you know, what's going to happen after this is all over? Those are going to end up in the landfill. That's really not a very environmentally, you know, smart way to go about things. I would hope that, I understand there's sort of a qualification to those masks, but I mean, you guys are, I bet you that down the road, these masks will be handed over from generation to generation. Like, somebody will have this. I mean, I think, and Stephanie knows my sister. My sister's got dresses that my grandmother, who was a seamstress back in Baghdad, back in the day, you know, and she was a taskmaster. She had 2 people, seamstresses, working for her. She operated the whole thing out of her house. If she was around, she'd be sewing masks right there with you guys. And my sister has dresses that she had made for my mom, that now my sister has. So this is, you know, if I'm impressionable enough, and a parent of mine is wearing a mask, well, you know, during this whole thing, and, you know, nobody is not going to be touched by this unless you're too young to remember. But I mean, you got masks on 18-month-olds in hospitals, right? I mean, you know, they're sending them home with that mask probably, right? This is a really a paradigm shift in how we live our lives, and it's also a pretty, like, we're going to remember. You're going to talk to people 10 years from now, and you go, you know, what was it like for you when COVID happens? And everybody's going to have a story. Everybody's going to have a story.
Rod, if you don't mind, I just want to interject, because I know that a couple people have to go, but I want to get to Sudi Faroknia, because she has been super supportive. She's compiling everybody's photo to kind of mark us historically what we're doing. I know she can talk about that, and she's also done a how-to video in Farsi, and sent that over to her friends and family in Iran. So she's an amazing asset to us.
It's amazing.
Sudi, I don't know if you want to talk about that.
That's very kind. Yeah, I mean, at first when I saw there was a post from a friend of mine, Ozzy, and someone had directed to Stephanie, and I, you know, reached out to Stephanie on a messenger, and we right away, you know, it's so interesting that when you know that people are working from the heart, you don't even have to see their picture, you don't even have to hear their voice, but just the choice of words that you are exchanging, there's so much like love and like, oh my God, you know, I love you already, you know, type of thing. So yeah, so when I got the video, you know, and I was trying to explain it to my mom and my aunt, who are very good at sewing, they just never had sewn masks, you know. So as I was trying to explain it to them, and of course we were so worried about not being able to see each other. So when I wanted to tell my aunt, I had to make the video, and then other people reached out to me, and I said, well, I guess I'm going to share this video with everyone. You know, it was really meant only for my aunt. So yeah, and it inspired a whole group of Iranian American community in DC to get started. That, you know, now it's much bigger. It's a very international, you know, like community. So yeah, I mean, it's we're all in this together. It's a global issue, and it's a global need. And I'm right there with you, Raad. I'm very, very environmentally conscious. So when there is an you know, an opportunity to make sure that we do not waste, I love that. So I, you know, was trying to encourage using that. And as far as the collage, I was doing some research about the Spanish flu, and I came across this picture of, you know, women 100 years ago with masks on, sitting around, and they were all sewing. And I sent the picture to the group, and I said, this is us. You know, this is us 100 years ago. And, you know, we don't have the opportunity to all of us come together and sew. But if you want to send me pictures, you know, and the pictures are still coming, so I'm still waiting to make sure that I don't miss out on anyone. And just so you know, I've been taking pictures of our chat here too, because we had so many people. So I thought that would be interesting to add in there. So Rad, if you don't mind, you're going to be part
not
of
at all.
it.
What do you think I've been doing? I've been doing the same thing. But I will tell you something. We are able to do something close to what you're talking about, because you're right. That picture from this time of the Spanish flu is a snapshot. And what's ironic is you probably can't recognize these people because they're behind masks, right? So that there's an anonymity, but it doesn't matter because every one of those people in the picture actually put themselves in a position where they were helping others. So so it's even more like, you know, when you say hero, right? Heroes wear masks, okay, to protect their identity. Like these sewers that you're talking about, and I saw that picture. It's a phenomenal picture. I'm a history buff, so I love that, right? That kind of stuff. But here's the deal. Now, I would bet, and I feel really stupid for saying this because my mask is being washed, but I would bet, and who, by the way, is anybody on this call that's responsible for my fish mask? Do we know? Stephanie, do you know who?
Jean. Jean, yeah, she's
Jean is responsible for my fish mask.
She made the fish mask.
Okay, so Jean, thank you. I love it. I'm a scuba diver. I've been wearing that thing with pride. So thank you so much. I now I connected the dots. Now it's complete.
There you go.
Now I know who it is.
Yeah.
Okay, so it fits perfectly with what you said earlier. It's a lot of fun. Because I don't know if you guys know, but I had teased Stephanie when she was on the call, and I said, you know, I'd like an animal print, and I was kind of leaning towards like leopard or something designer or whatever. And then she said, well, I sent you an animal print. And then yeah, see, that would be great. Yes, I'll take that one too. Okay, but here's the deal.
It's a kid's one, sorry.
It's okay. I'll just shrink my cheeks and maybe I'll fit. But you know, every one of you probably within arm's reach, I would bet, has a mask, right? Is that about correct? Okay. So I'm sorry I won't be the one with a mask on, but would you guys all put a mask on and let's take a picture so it's the closest we can get to that historical photo? I know not everybody in the group is represented, but you guys are, you know. And Sudhi, do you want to take it since you have it? I'll do the same. That way we definitely have one that takes. Oh, Lisa, I guess you're getting your mask delivered.
Yeah, I'm waiting for Lisa.
Okay. All right.
My kiddo had to go grab hers because she has a smaller one now than mine.
And Rad, we're planning on having a masked barbecue eventually.
Okay.
Of my group here for
count me in.
Yeah, you'll have to. You're nearby.
Absolutely. You know, so I'll tell you something though. We are better than the photo with the Spanish flu. You know why? Because everybody's name is on this photograph.
Yeah, exactly.
So we know exactly who it is. Come on, Dan. There you go.
3, everybody just look. Denise, can you bring your camera a little bit down because your face is like cut off?
Right, and then maybe Jean.
And Diane, if you want to come a little bit forward.
Olivia too, and then Jean, just get in there. There you go.
There we go, everybody.
Wear them proud.
Okay, ready? Look in the camera. Got it. And you know what's the funny thing is that we're all gonna smile for this picture and nobody can see us smiling.
Right, I know. You know what? You can. You look at the eyes always give it away. But you're right.
All I had were kids' masks because that's what I'm sewing on right now, and it was a little small.
So there you go. It's not a black and white. It's the closest we can do. But there you go. There's your equivalent of your Spanish flu.
Yes.
So with that, ladies, I know you've been very generous with your time. Thank you so much. I won't keep you from what you have going on, your families and your sewing. So I appreciate you taking the time to be with me. Stephanie, thanks for organizing this and the group. And it really is a pleasure to meet you all. So please keep doing what you're doing. You are making a huge difference and you are heroes to many, including myself.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
My pleasure,
you.
absolutely.
Bye.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody. Love you guys.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you, Rad.
Thanks,
Thank
Rod.
you.
Thank you, Stephanie, for putting this together with him too.
Thank you,
It was a
Louise.
lot.
Thanks, Louise.
Thanks,
Bye-bye,
everybody.
guys.
Nice to meet you all.
Guys.
Everyone,
Bye.
nice to see all of you.
Yes.
Likewise.
Yes, bye.